Hey, what's up, you guys? Bam, and welcome to another episode of Wolf King's Vids. Let me hear it. Yeah, that's right. Alright, enough. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the recent controversy, the shooting of Walter Scott in North Charleston, South Carolina. The action took place on April 4th, 2015, following a daytime traffic stop for a non-functioning brake light. Scott, a black man, was fatally shot by Michael Slager, a white North Charleston police officer. So here's how the story went off, supposedly. Okay. Now, at 9:30 a.m. April 4th, 2015, in the parking lot of a auto parts store at 1945 Redmount Road, Slager stopped Scott for a non-functioning third brake light. Scott was driving a 1991 Mercedes that he had just bought from a neighbor and was headed to the auto parts store when he was stopped, according to his brother. The video from Slager's dash cam shows him approaching Scott's car, speaking to Scott, and then returning to his patrol car. Scott exited his car and fled, and Slager gave chase. Slager fired his taser at Scott, according to the incident report and city officials, and police said Scott was hit at least once. Scott then fled again, and Slager withdrew his handgun and fired 8 rounds at Scott from behind, almost emptying his clip in his back. A lawyer for Scott's family said that the coroner had told him that Scott was struck 5 times, 3 in the back, once in the upper buttocks, and once in the ear, with at least 1 bullet entering his heart. Official autopsy reports have not been released yet, but immediately after the shooting, Slager told the dispatcher, "Shots fired and the subject is down. He took my taser." He made that claim. When Slager fires, Scott seems to be 15 to 40 feet, 5 to 6 meters away, and fleeing. In the report of the shooting filed before the video surfaced, Slager said he had feared for his life because Scott had taken his taser, and that he shot Scott several times because he felt threatened, or so he claimed. Now, fortunately, there was an eyewitness video. There was someone who, with an eyewitness account with video evidence that came to life after this incident went down. An eyewitness to this shooting, in specific, Feden Santana, recorded video of the incident on his phone. The video was subsequently shared with Scott's family through an activist of Black Lives Matter, and later with the news media. Santana said that after a struggle in which Slager deployed his taser, Scott was just trying to get away from the taser, and that before he started recording, he observed that Slager had control of the situation. In an interview with Matt Lauer on the Today Show, Santana said Scott never grabbed the taser of the police. He never got the taser. According to the video, after Scott dropped to the ground, Slager approached him, repeatedly instructed him to place his hands behind his back, and handcuffed him, leaving him face down on the ground. Police reports said that officers performed CPR on Scott, although no such action is visible on the video. The video shows that Slager ran back toward where the initial scuffle occurred and picked something up off the ground. Moments later, he dropped an object near Scott's body. Another officer is seen in the video at the time. He puts on latex gloves and appears to examine Scott. After police reviewed the video, Slager was arrested on April 7th and charged with first-degree murder. He is being held without bail. If convicted, he faces a sentence of 30 years to life in prison or the death penalty. On April 8th, the North Charleston city manager announced the NCPD had fired Slager, but will continue to pay his health insurance because his wife was pregnant. Yada yada. All right, that's all I'm going to read from that. Now, having watched the video myself, it's safe to conclude that whatever, whatever he was running for, just to get away from the non-lethal force, regardless, a suspect running away is not a good excuse for for killing someone. And that seems to be like an excuse that that certain nefarious law enforcement officials have been using that as an excuse. However, thanks to modern technology like cameras and cell phones and stuff like that, we're able to see and get a clearer perspective on things with regard to the truth. And what was the truth? The truth in this particular case is that, and it's a consistent trend, is that law enforcement tend to, some of them, not all of course, some of them tend to abuse their power in certain situations where it's uncalled for, and it's at the cost of the welfare of people, in that their human rights are violated and they tragically have their lives cut down. And I think that this needs to be actually addressed on a farther level, whether there needs to be a reform called in, or some type of better like just better analysis of like the staff in place and who are actually taking responsibility about this. Because when you join a department like that, you have a responsibility to not just that department, but also to the community at large. And the fact that you wear that badge means that you are held at a greater standard, not a lesser one. Especially when you're actually going out and displaying said actions on such a gross and just uncaring way, for lack of a better term. So I hope that I just hope that we as a society like just become more acknowledged about this fact, and we could actually learn from these tragic experiences and make it better, so that this doesn't happen, because this is on a consistent basis and it just needs to be called out. But anyway, that's my video. The links are in the description box if you need to see them. This has been Wolf King. Peace out. If you like this video, you know what to do. Later.